At 6 in the morning, my door started shaking. My daughter-in-law was screaming my name hysterical as if the house belonged to her. I had changed all the locks the night before. Minutes later, my son arrived with a sledgehammer in his hand. "I'm coming in anyway." But when he raised his arm to strike, a voice behind me said simply, "Leave it. I will handle this." The door opened, and what they saw on the other side left them pale. The blows had been rumbling like war drums. Each one shook not only the wood of the entrance, but something deep inside my chest. Jessica, my daughter-in-law, was screaming with that shrill voice I knew too well. "Evelyn, open this damn door. Who do you think you are? This house is as much mine as it is yours." I was on the other side, barefoot, on the cold tiles of my living room, my heart beating so hard I felt the pulse in my temples. My hands were trembling, not from fear but from something worse. Rage contained for 3 months. Rage that had fermented in silence until it became something cold and calculated. I looked at the wall clock, the one my late husband Robert bought in San Francisco 30 years ago. It was 6:07 a.m. Mr. Henderson would arrive in 20 minutes. I just had to hold on. "Mom." Now it was the voice of Michael, my son, my only son. "I know you are in there. Open up at once." I heard a different blow, metallic heavy, and then his voice, but with a tone I had never heard before. "I am coming in anyway, with or without a door." I peeked through the peephole. Michael was holding a sledgehammer, the kind used in construction. His eyes were bloodshot. Jessica by his side had her arms crossed and a twisted smile on her lips, a smile of anticipated victory. I felt my legs go weak. Was this how it all ended? My son, the baby I breastfed, the one I nursed when he had pneumonia at 7 years old, the one I helped pay for his first car. Was he going to tear down my door? Then a deep voice resonated behind me. "Leave it. I will handle this." I turned my head. Mr. Henderson was standing in the hallway in his impeccable gray suit, with a leather briefcase in his hand. He had arrived early, much earlier than agreed. "How did you get in?" I whispered. "Through the back door, Mrs. Evelyn, just as you instructed last night." He looked at me with those calm eyes that conveyed authority. "Open it for them. It is time for them to see what they have lost." My hand went to the latch. I slid it slowly. I turned the knob. The door opened, and the moment Michael and Jessica saw Mr. Henderson standing there with his imposing presence and his steely gaze, the sledgehammer fell to the floor with a dull thud. The two of them stood there pale, literally, as if they had seen a ghost, because they knew exactly who that man was, and they knew their plan had just crumbled. But before I tell you how I ended up changing the locks of my own house to protect myself from my son, I need you to understand something. I was not always this woman. The Evelyn who opened that door with steady hands did not exist 3 months ago. 3 months ago, I was a different person. A fool, naive, a mother who believed that love could conquer all. If you want to know how a 68-year-old woman went from being the perfect victim to slamming the door in her own family's face, subscribe to this channel. Because what comes next will change the way you view a mother's love forever. Mr. Henderson did not smile. He did not need to. His mere presence was enough to change the entire energy of that threshold. He took a step forward, standing right next to me, and spoke with that voice that had terrified 100 scammers in court. "Good morning, Michael." "Jessica." He paused deliberately. "I regret to inform you that you no longer have legal authority to enter this property without the express consent of the owner." Jessica was the first to react. Her face went from pale to bright red in a matter of seconds. "Who the hell do you think you are?" "We live here. We have rights." The lawyer opened his briefcase with exasperating calm. He pulled out a thick manila folder and extracted several documents. The sound of the paper was the only thing heard, besides my son's heavy breathing. "I am attorney Arthur Henderson, public notary number 47. And these," he held up the papers, "are documents certifying that as of 11:45 p.m. yesterday, March 15th, this property located at 328 Oak Street was transferred to an irrevocable trust in the name of Mrs. Evelyn Miller, widow of Cortez." Michael finally found his voice. It sounded broken, desperate. "Mom, what did you do?" I looked at him. I really looked at him. And in that moment I saw the scared boy who used to hide behind me when his father scolded him. But I also saw the man who 2 weeks ago had told his wife that I had already lived long enough. What I should have done 3 months ago. "Michael, protect myself." Jessica let out a hysterical laugh. "Protect yourself. But we take care of you. We give you company. Without us, you would be alone dying in this huge house." Mr. Henderson interrupted her without raising his voice. "Ma'am, I suggest you watch your words. Everything you say at this moment can and will be used against you if Mrs. Evelyn decides to proceed legally." "Legally?" Michael took a step forward. "But I invested in this house. I paid for the roof repair. I put money into the new water heater. That house is as much mine as it is hers." There it was. The lie he had been feeding for 3 months. The lie he had repeated to me so many times that I almost believed it. The lawyer smiled for the first time. It was a small smile, almost imperceptible, but it was there. Oh, really interesting. Because according to the bank records, Mrs. Evelyn provided me the roof was repaired in August of last year with $4,500 that she withdrew from her personal account. The water heater was installed in October, also paid for by her, for an amount of $2,500. "Do you want me to continue?" Michael opened his mouth. He closed it. He opened it again. He looked like a fish out of water. Jessica changed tactics. She put her hands to her chest and tears began to roll down her cheeks, tears she had perfected over these 3 months. "Mother-in-law, Evelyn, I do not understand. We are family. How can you do this to us after everything we have shared?" Something broke inside me, but it was not my heart. It was the last chain of guilt that tied me to this farce. "Family." My voice came out stronger than I expected. "You talk to me about family, Jessica. The same family that sold my late husband's porcelain china for $400. The same family that swindled $6,000 out of me, lying about an illness to pay for a nose job." Her face crumbled. The tears kept falling, but now they were panic tears. I was sick. The doctors at the Golden Hills Aesthetic Clinic, right? Mr. Henderson pulled out another document. "I have the receipt here. Rhinoplasty Aesthetics, $5,800 paid on January 18th, 3 days after you received the money from Mrs. Evelyn." Michael turned to his wife with an expression I had never seen on him before. Confusion, anger, fear. "Is that true?" Jessica took a step back. You knew that." "Michael, do not make me look bad. I knew." My son's voice went up 3 octaves. "I knew you stole from my mother." There was the crack, the first fissure in their perfect alliance. The lawyer seized the moment. "You have 48 hours to completely vacate this property. You may take your personal belongings, clothes, electronic items that you can prove are yours, and nothing else. Any item belonging to Mrs. Evelyn that is removed without authorization will be considered theft and legal action will be taken." "You cannot kick us out," Jessica screamed. "We have children, Emily and Jacob. Where are we going to live?" For the first time in the conversation, the lawyer seemed genuinely annoyed. "Perhaps you should have thought about that before planning to put those children's grandmother in a cheap nursing home to sell her house and buy a condo downtown." The silence that followed was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Michael looked at me. His eyes were glassy. How do you know that I reached into my robe pocket and pulled out a small digital recorder, the one my neighbor Barbara had taught me to use? I put it in the palm of my hand and pressed play. Jessica's voice came out clear, crisp, unmistakable. "It is almost done, my love. In a few more months we convince her to sign the house over to you. She is old alone, she needs us. Then we can put her in a cheap nursing home and sell this property. It is easily worth $500,000. It is enough for the condo downtown that we want." And then Michael's voice. "You are right. My mom has lived long enough. We deserve this house." I stopped the recording. Michael fell to his knees on the front step. Literally. His legs would not hold him anymore. "Mom, I did not mean—" "Yes, you did." I said with a calm that surprised myself. "You said it. You thought it. And you were going to do it. Jessica recovered her composure with impressive speed. She pointed her finger at Michael. This was his idea. I only followed his plan. He convinced me of everything, and there right before my eyes I saw them destroy each other. Michael jumped up and faced her. What? You were the one who said my mother was a burden. You were the one who wanted the luxury apartment. The lawyer closed his briefcase with a sharp click. Ladies and gentlemen, your marital problems are not my concern. What is my concern is informing you that you have until Wednesday, March 17th at 6 p.m. to leave this property. If you do not do so voluntarily, we will proceed with legal eviction. Have a good day. He turned and walked into the house. I followed him, and before closing the door, I looked one last time at Michael. My son, my only son, was crying silently on the step of the house where I raised him. And I felt nothing. Well, no, that is a lie. I felt relief. I closed the door and slid the bolt. Mr. Henderson looked at me from the hallway. Are you okay, Mrs. Evelyn? I nodded slowly. Then I sat in the living room armchair, the one where Robert used to read me poems on Sunday afternoons, and for the first time in 3 months, I breathed deeply. But you must be wondering, how did it get to this point? How does a mother come to record her own son planning her banishment? To understand that I have to take you 3 months back, to the day I opened the door of my house and let in not only my son and his family, but my own destruction. It was a Tuesday, December 12th. I remember because that day I had gone early to the flower market to buy fresh flowers for my altar. It had just turned 11 in the morning when my phone rang. Mom. Michael's voice sounded strange, dull. Son, what happened? Are you okay? I need to talk to you. Can I come to your house? It is urgent. My heart skipped a beat. When a child says something is urgent, a mother imagines the worst. Accidents, sickness, death. Of course, my love. Come whenever you want. Do you want me to make something to eat? No, Mom. I need to talk to you. He hung up before I could say anything else. He arrived at 2 in the afternoon. He was not alone. Jessica was with him, and behind them Emily and Jacob were carrying large backpacks that looked like they were full to bursting. Hello, mother-in-law, said Jessica with that smile that I then believed was genuine. Sorry for coming without warning. No, do not worry. Come in. Do you want water, coffee? The kids ran towards the backyard. Emily was 12 and Jacob 9. Good kids, always polite, although lately I saw them less and less. Michael sat on the sofa and ran his hands over his face. That gesture he had made since he was a child when he was nervous. Mom, we lost the apartment. The words fell like stones into a well. What do you mean you lost it? Jessica sat next to him and took his hand. At that moment, I thought, how good that they have each other in difficult times. How stupid I was. We had problems with the bank, Michael explained without looking me in the eye. We could not pay the mortgage for 3 months and, well, they foreclosed on us. They gave us 2 weeks to get out. I put my hand to my chest. My son, my Michael, homeless. But why did you not tell me before I could have helped? We did not want to worry you, mother-in-law. Jessica intervened with a sweet voice. You have already done so much for us. We did not want to be a burden. You are never a burden. You are my family. Michael finally looked at me. His eyes were red. Mom, I need to ask you a huge favor, the biggest one I have ever asked you in my life. Anything, son, whatever you need. Can we stay here? Just temporarily, while we find another place. Maybe 2 or 3 months max. My house had 4 bedrooms. Since Robert died 5 years ago, I lived alone in this huge space that suddenly felt too big, too silent. The idea of having my family close of hearing children's laughter of cooking for more than one person. Of course you can stay, as long as you need. Jessica stood up suddenly and hugged me. She smelled of expensive perfume. Too expensive for someone who had just lost their house. Thank you, mother-in-law. You do not know how much this means to us. The kids screamed with joy when they were told they would stay with Grandma. Jacob ran to me and hugged my waist. Can I stay in the room with the stars on the ceiling, Grandma? It was the room that Robert had decorated for when Michael was little. He had stuck glow-in-the-dark stickers on it. My grandson remembered them from the few times they had come to visit me. Of course, my darling. That same afternoon they started bringing their things. Boxes, lots of boxes, more than fit in a van. Michael had rented a small truck. "Is all this necessary?" I asked, seeing the amount of objects. "We do not know how long we will be here, Mom. We prefer to have everything at hand." It made sense. Or at least that is what I thought. The first week was nice. I cooked for everyone. The kids did their homework in the dining room. Michael went out early to look for work. Jessica stayed home. She said it was to take care of the kids, even though they were old enough not to need a nanny. But there were small things that I ignored at that moment. Jessica moved the living room furniture so there would be more space. Robert's armchair, the one where he spent hours reading, ended up cornered in the garage. It is just very worn out, mother-in-law. It looks ugly there. She changed the bathroom towels for new ones she bought. Mine, hand-embroidered by my mother, she put away in a box. These are more modern. You have to update yourself, mother-in-law. She started cooking too, but not food that I liked. Different food, with spices I had never used. And when I tried to cook something traditional, she sighed. "Oh, mother-in-law, so much grease is not good for anyone." One day, 2 weeks after they arrived, I went down to breakfast and found that the dining room curtains had disappeared. "Where are the curtains?" I asked. Jessica was making a smoothie in the blender. She did not even turn around. I took them down. They blocked the natural light. "Your house was very dark, mother-in-law. It needed clarity. I had sewn those curtains myself. It took me 3 weeks to finish them. They had a design of embroidered birds that my mother taught me to make, but I liked those curtains. They were very old, mother-in-law. It was time for a change." Michael walked in at that moment and kissed Jessica on the cheek. "Good morning, Mom. Did you sleep well?" "Son, did you see that Jessica took down the dining room curtains?" "Oh, yes. They look better like this, right? More illuminated." "But I made them. It took me a long time." Michael poured himself coffee with a distracted smile. "Mom, do not be so sentimental. They are just curtains. Jessica has good taste. You should trust her more." I remained silent, standing in the kitchen of my house, feeling that somehow I was the one out of place. "You are right," I said finally. "Just curtains." Jessica smiled at me, that smile that I still believed was kind. "That is how I like it, mother-in-law. Flexible. Change is good." That night, lying in my bed, I looked at the ceiling and thought of Robert, of how he always said, "Evelyn, you are too good." Someday someone is going to take advantage of that. But this was different, right? It was my family, my son, my grandkids. They could not be taking advantage of me. Could they? What I did not know at that moment was that the curtains were just the beginning. Jessica had not come to my house to stay temporarily. She had come to make it hers. And with each passing day, I disappeared a little more, until there was almost nothing left of me. The real change began in the 3rd week. Jessica walked into my bedroom without knocking. I was folding clothes when I saw her standing in the doorway with that expression I was starting to know too well, determination disguised as concern. "Mother-in-law, we need to talk about this room. My room. What is wrong with it?" She walked in and walked around touching things, the antique mahogany dresser, the mirror with the gold frame, my wedding photo on the wall. It is very full, very cluttered. It is not healthy for you to have so much clutter. I looked around. My room had no clutter. Everything was in its place. Every object had a story. It is not cluttered, Jessica. It is lived in. Exactly, that is the problem. She sat on my bed as if it were hers. You live in the past, surrounded by things of your husband who is no longer here. It is not healthy. You need to let go, move on. Her words hurt me like a slap. Robert was my husband for 42 years. I am not going to let go of his memories. I am not asking you to forget them, mother-in-law, just to put them away, to make room for the present, for us. The next day, while I had gone to church, Jessica organized the living room. When I returned, Robert's photographs that were on the mantel had disappeared. In their place were scented candles and an artificial plant. "Where are Robert's photos?" "I put them in a box in your closet, mother-in-law." That way, they are more protected from dust. I do not want them protected from dust. I want to see them." Jessica sighed with that exaggerated patience used with small children. "Mother-in-law, you cannot turn your house into a shrine. Your husband already rests in peace. You need to live." I went to my closet. I found the box. But not all the photos were there. My favorite was missing. Robert and I in Acapulco on our honeymoon. He was carrying me in his arms while the waves wet our feet. "Jessica, a photo is missing." "Which one?" "The one from Acapulco. The one in the silver frame." "Oh, that one." "It fell and the glass broke. I threw it away." "You threw it away." "The frame was rusty anyway, mother-in-law. It was useless. I felt something break inside my chest." "Not the frame, me." That night Michael arrived late. I waited for him awake. "Son, I need to talk to you. Mom, I am tired. Can it be tomorrow? No, it has to be now." He dropped onto the sofa with a sigh of annoyance. "Okay. What is it Jessica is throwing away your father's things? She changed the whole house. And me, I feel like a stranger in my own house." Michael did not even look me in the eye. He kept looking at his phone. "Mom, Jessica is just trying to help. This house was very neglected, very old. It is my house. Michael and I liked how it was." "Well, maybe you needed someone to show you that there are other ways to live." Finally, he looked up. "Do you know what your problem is, Mom? That you cling too much to the past. Dad died 5 years ago. It is time for you to move on." His words pierced me like knives. Moving on means forgetting your father. It means stopping living in a museum. He stood up. "Jessica is trying to modernize things. You should be grateful that someone cares about you." And he went to sleep. I stayed sitting in the dark living room with Jessica's scented candles perfuming the air with a smell that was not my house. And for the first time since they moved in, I cried. But the worst had not yet arrived. A week later, Jessica came into the kitchen with a huge smile. "Mother-in-law, I have wonderful news. I hired a deep cleaning company. They are coming tomorrow to leave everything spotless." "Cleaning company? But I clean the house." "Oh, mother-in-law, with all due respect, you clean the old-fashioned way. We need professional disinfection. Do not worry, I will pay." The next day, 3 people arrived with uniforms and industrial cleaning products. Jessica directed them like a war general. "Those furniture in the garage, take them to the trash. Those boxes there, too. And that old display cabinet, please take it out." "Wait," I ran towards them. That cabinet was my grandmother's. "You cannot throw it away. It is full of moths, mother-in-law. It is a nest of bugs. I do not care, it is family." Jessica made a gesture of exasperation. "Fine, we leave it, but at least let them take out all those old things from the garage." I did not pay attention to exactly what they took out of the garage. Fatal mistake. 2 days later, I looked for Robert's vinyl record collection, the jazz records he collected for 30 years, the ones we played on Sunday afternoons while he held me in the kitchen and sang in my ear. They were not there. "Jessica, where are Robert's records? The records. Oh, mother-in-law, the cleaners threw those away. They were scratched. Some could not even be listened to. They threw them away." "Yes, but do not worry. Now there is Spotify. You can listen to any song you want." I sat on the garage floor, right there where Robert's armchair once was, where his records once were, his memories, our life, and I cried like I had not cried since his funeral. Jessica appeared at the door. "Oh, mother-in-law, do not be so dramatic. They are just things, just objects." But they were not just objects. They were pieces of my life, pieces of Robert, pieces of me, and she was throwing them in the trash, one by one. That night I told Barbara, my neighbor of a lifetime. She was 72 and a widow like me. We sat in her garden with coffee. "Evelyn, that woman is erasing you," she said, with her characteristic frankness. "She is erasing your story to write hers. But she is my daughter-in-law, my son's wife, and that makes her more dangerous, because she comes with a family label, and you, out of respect for your son, tolerate what you would not tolerate from a stranger." Her words kept spinning in my head all night. The next day, Jessica painted the living room. Without warning, without asking. When I arrived from the market, the walls that had been peach color for 20 years were now dark gray. "Do you like it?" she asked proudly. "It is the trendy color. It looks very elegant. I chose that peach with Robert. We spent a whole weekend painting together. Well, now it is gray. Peach was out of fashion, mother-in-law. You have to update." Michael arrived and applauded. "Wow, it looks incredible, babe. Very modern." "Your mother is not happy," said Jessica with a victim's voice. Michael looked at me with disappointment. "Mom, really, Jessica is making an effort to improve the house and you just complain." "I did not ask for it to be improved. I liked how it was." "Well, nobody else liked it. It was depressing." That word, depressing. As if my life with Robert had been depressing. I went to my room without dinner, and that night, lying in the dark, I realized something terrible. I no longer recognized my own house. The walls, the furniture, the smells, everything was different. Everything was Jessica's, and I was becoming a tenant in my own home. But if they thought stealing my memories was the worst thing Jessica did to me, they are wrong. Because what came next was not just stealing objects, it was stealing something much more valuable. And when I discovered it, I understood that my daughter-in-law was not just manipulative. She was a thief, and my son, my own son, knew it. It was a Thursday afternoon, January 18th. I remember the exact date because it would have been Robert's 43rd birthday if he were still alive. I always put fresh flowers on his photograph that day. But his photograph was no longer in the living room. It was stored in a box in my closet. I went down to the kitchen to make myself some tea. I needed something to calm me down. The last few days I had slept poorly. Nightmares where my house became smaller and smaller, and I could not find the exit. Jessica was in the dining room with her laptop open. She was talking on the phone with someone. Yes, I still have it. It is authentic fine china antique. It has 24-karat gold details. A pause. No, it is not stolen. It is family. Another pause. $400 is very little. It is worth at least $800. I got closer. On her laptop screen were photographs of my china, the fine china set Robert gave me on our 30th anniversary. He had bought it on a business trip to San Francisco. He had saved for months to pay for it. Each plate had hand-painted cherry blossoms. Each cup had a gold rim. The complete set. 12 bowls, 12 flat plates, 12 cups with their saucers. We never used it. It was too valuable. I kept it in the dining room cabinet just to admire it. "Jessica." My voice came out trembling. "What are you doing?" She looked up with a calm smile. Too calm. "Oh, mother-in-law, I am selling the china." "Selling my china?" "Well, technically it is in your house, but nobody uses it. It is just gathering dust, and we need the money urgently." I felt the floor move under my feet. That china was a gift from Robert. It is not for sale. Mother-in-law, be reasonable. They are just plates. And we are in a very difficult situation. Michael has not found work. The kids need new school supplies. The rent for the storage unit where we keep our things is due next week, and we do not have the money to pay it. And for that, you are going to sell my things. They are not just your things, mother-in-law. We are family. What is yours is ours. That is how families work. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating so fast I felt the pulse in my ears. Cancel that sale. Now. Jessica closed the laptop with a dramatic sigh. "Do you know what your problem is, mother-in-law? That you are selfish. We take you in, we take care of you. We keep you company so you are not alone in this huge house, and you are not capable of helping us when we need it most. What are you going to do with those plates? Look at them until you die." Her words hit me like punches. It is not selfishness. It is my history. It is what Robert left me. Robert is dead, mother-in-law. The dead do not need plates. The living do need money to eat. At that moment, Michael walked in. He came with a bag of sweet bread. "What is going on?" Screams can be heard from outside. "Your mother does not want us to sell the china," said Jessica with the voice of a scolded child. "She prefers her grandkids to go hungry rather than part with some old plates." Michael looked at me with that expression that broke my soul. Disappointment. Exhaustion. Annoyance. "Mom, seriously. Are you going to make a drama over some plates? They are not just plates. They are the anniversary gift your father gave me. and I am sure Dad would prefer his grandkids to eat rather than having plates stored away that nobody uses. He walked over to Jessica and put a hand on her shoulder. "Sell the china, babe. My mom will understand." "I am not going to understand. You have no right." Jessica stood up with tears in her eyes, perfect tears that rolled right down the center of her cheeks without ruining her makeup. "You know what, mother-in-law? You are right. We have no right to anything. We are just a burden to you." "Michael, you heard your mother. We are not welcome here. We better pack our things and go to the street. After all, what does it matter if the kids sleep in a shelter? At least the mother-in-law's china will be safe." "Babe, do not say that." Michael hugged her and looked at me harshly. "Mom, do you see what you are doing? Do you see how you hurt her?" I could not believe it. Somehow I was the villain of the story. "Michael, that china is worth a lot to me." "Well, to us, it is worth being able to eat," my son shouted. He had never shouted at me like that. "But do not worry, Mom. We are not going to touch your precious china. We are not going to touch anything. In fact, we better leave so you can live alone with your memories and your things without anyone bothering you." He started walking towards the stairs. Jessica followed him, sobbing. The kids appeared in the hallway with scared faces. "What is wrong?" Dad asked Jacob with a small voice. "Nothing, son. We are going to pack. Your grandma wants us to leave." I did not say that, I screamed, but nobody listened to me. 2 hours passed, 2 hours in which I heard movement upstairs, boxes dragging doors, closing, Emily's soft crying, and me sitting in the kitchen with trembling hands on the table, wondering how it had come to this point. Finally, Michael came down, alone. Jessica is upstairs packing suitcases. The kids are confused and scared. "I hope you are proud of yourself." "Michael, I just asked you not to sell your father's china, and what did you want us to do?" Mom begged in the street. "Stop eating." He sat across from me with glassy eyes. "I thought you were different. I thought you would understand. But it turns out you are like all the selfish old women who only think about their things and not their family." Those words. Selfish old women. "My own son. It is fine," I whispered. "Let her sell the china." "What?" "Let her sell it. If that is what you need, let her sell it." Michael blinked, surprised. Then his face softened and he took my hands. "Mom, I knew you would understand. Thank you. Thank you. I promise you that when I have a job, I will buy you another identical set." He ran up the stairs shouting, "Babe." My mom said yes. We can stay that night, lying in my bed. I looked at the empty cabinet in the dining room. Jessica had packed the china immediately, as if she was afraid I would change my mind. $2,000 was what that china was worth. I know because when Robert died, an appraiser came to do an inventory for the will. $2,000 in memories in love, in years of marriage. And my daughter-in-law was going to sell it for $400. The next day, Jessica went out early. She returned 6 hours later with bags of new clothes, brand-name pants, designer blouses, expensive shoes. "Did you manage to sell the china?" I asked. "Yes, mother-in-law. Thank goodness." With this, we were able to pay the storage rent. But the bags in her hands told another story. Jessica, those bags. Oh, this. It is just that I found some incredible offers. A 2-for-1. I could not resist. You bought clothes with my china money. Not all the clothes. I also paid the rent. And I bought supplies for the kids. And, well, I deserve to treat myself. Do you not think I have been very stressed? She went to her room whistling a song. And I stood there standing in my dark gray living room with my bare walls, with my empty cabinet, finally understanding the truth. They had not come to stay temporarily. They had come to keep everything. But if they thought stealing memories and belongings was enough to destroy me, they were wrong. Because Jessica had a much more elaborate plan. A plan that involved lies, fake hospitals, and $6,000 that I was going to give her voluntarily. Because when a snake identifies its prey, it does not stop until it devours it completely. 2 weeks after the China incident, Jessica began acting strange, stranger than usual. She got up late. She walked around the house with a hand on her forehead, sighing deeply. She left her food halfway, saying she had no appetite, and every time someone asked her what was wrong, she responded with a dramatic, Nothing, nothing. I will be fine. But she said it in that way that screams, "Ask me more, please ask me." It was Emily who finally fell into the trap. "Mom, are you sick?" Jessica put her hand to her chest, and her eyes filled with tears. "I do not want to worry you, my love. I just have some weird symptoms, but it is nothing serious, surely." Michael stood up from the table, alarmed. "What kind of symptoms? Dizziness, nausea, and... Well, I have been bleeding a little." She lowered her voice as if it were a terrible secret. From places where I should not, my heart skipped a beat. Despite everything, I did not wish evil on anyone, much less a serious illness. "Jessica, you have to go to the doctor." I said immediately, "I cannot, mother-in-law. We do not have health insurance now that we lost our jobs, and a private consultation with a specialist costs a fortune. It does not matter what it costs. Your health is more important." Jessica looked at me with those big, bright eyes as if I were her savior. "Really? Mother-in-law, would you help us with that? Of course, tomorrow we make an appointment." That night I heard Michael and Jessica talking in their room. Their voices came through the crack of the door. "I told you it would work," whispered Jessica. "Your mother has a soft heart. You just need to scare her a little." I could not hear Michael's response, but I did not want to believe it either. Surely I had misunderstood. The next day, Jessica showed me the name of a clinic, St. Lucie Specialized Medical Center. It sounded prestigious, expensive. "Dr. Melgar is the best oncologist in the city," she said with a trembling voice. "But his consultations cost $150. It is fine, I will pay." I accompanied her to the appointment, but when we arrived, she asked me to wait outside. "Mother-in-law, it is just that. They are very intimate studies. I am embarrassed for you to be there. Do you mind waiting in the lobby?" "Of course not, daughter. Go ahead." I waited 2 hours looking at old magazines in an impeccable waiting room with marble floors and expensive ornamental plants. When she came out, her eyes were red from crying so much. "What did the doctor say?" I asked, jumping up. "I need tests." "Many tests." "MRI, CT scan, specialized blood tests." Her voice broke. "And a biopsy." My God. "Is it?" "They do not know yet. That is why they need the tests. But the doctor said the faster we do them, the better." She took my hands. "Mother-in-law, I know it is a lot to ask. I know we have already abused your generosity, but I am afraid, very afraid. How much do the tests cost?" $6,000. She said the figure as if it were a death sentence. "It is a lot of money. Too much. We do not have a way to pay it. Maybe I can wait a few months until Michael gets a job. You cannot wait if it is something serious. Let's go to the bank right now." Jessica hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. "Thank you, mother-in-law. Thank you. You do not know what this means to me, to my children." We went to the bank that same afternoon. I sold some bonds I had been saving for years, bonds Robert had bought thinking of our old age. Bonds that were worth more than $6,000, but I cashed them fast without hesitation because a human life is worth more than any property. I handed the money to Jessica in a manila envelope. "God bless you, daughter, and may everything turn out well." She cried in my arms, tears that I then believed were genuine. For the next 2 weeks, Jessica went out early to get the tests done. She returned tired, pale, with stories of needles and machines and worried doctors. "Do they have results yet?" I asked every day. "Not yet, mother-in-law. They are very complex tests. It takes time." The kids were scared. Jacob asked me one night, "Grandma, is my mom going to die?" "No, my darling, your mom is going to be fine. The doctors are going to cure her." But inside I was scared too. And then that Tuesday arrived, February 5th, market day in the neighborhood. I went to buy vegetables. Mrs. Higgins' stall was next to Mr. Sal's, the one who sells chicken. And there, in the middle of the conversation about the price of tomatoes, Mrs. Higgins told me, "Hey, Evelyn, I saw your daughter-in-law the other day at the mall. She looked very good, very pretty. When did you see her last Friday? She was leaving one of those fancy clinics, aesthetic surgery." The world stopped. Aesthetic surgery. Yes, the Golden Hills Clinic. My niece works there as a receptionist. She told me your daughter-in-law got her nose done. It turned out very nice, by the way. I arrived home with the grocery bags trembling in my hands. Jessica was in the living room watching TV, eating popcorn. With her new nose, it was subtle, but now that I knew I could see it. The tip a little more upturned, the bridge finer. "Jessica, can I talk to you?" "Sure, mother-in-law. What is it?" I ran into Mrs. Higgins at the market. Her face did not change. Not a muscle. "Oh, how nice. How is the lady good? She told me she saw you leaving the Golden Hills Clinic." Silence. "The aesthetic surgery clinic," I continued with a trembling voice. "Last Friday, the day you were supposedly getting the MRI." Jessica left the bowl of popcorn on the table. Slowly, carefully. "Mother-in-law, can I explain?" Explain what my voice came out higher than I intended. Explain that you lied to me, that you got $6,000 out of me with an invented illness. I did not invent anything. I did feel bad. "You got a nose job." With my money, she stood up from the sofa with that speed that scared me. "And what if I did? What is the problem? I also deserve to feel good about myself. Not everything is about you and your needs. It was my money. Money I gave because I thought you were sick. I was sick. Sick with insecurity. Sick with low self-esteem." She touched her nose with pride. "This surgery saved my life as much as any cancer treatment. I could not believe it. I could not believe the nerve. I want my money back." Jessica let out a laugh, a cold laugh that froze my blood. "Your money, mother-in-law, you gave it to me. It was a gift. There are no returns. It was not a gift. It was for your medical treatment, and I used it on a medical treatment, reconstructive surgery. It is the same thing." At that moment, Michael walked in. He was wearing a restaurant uniform. He had gotten a job as a waiter finally. "What is happening here?" Screams can be heard from the street. "Your mother is harassing me," said Jessica with a perfect victim voice. "She is claiming that I used the money she gave me on a surgery I needed. A surgery you needed." I turned to my son. "Michael, she lied to me. She told me she had cancer. She got $6,000 out of me to fix her nose. I expected my son to take my side, to be indignant, to confront her. But instead, he sighed wearily. 'Mom, we already knew Jessica was going to fix her nose.' The floor disappeared under my feet." "What?" It bothered her a lot. She had wanted to fix it for years. "I told her to take advantage since you offered the money. I did not offer money for cosmetic surgery. I offered money because I thought she was sick." Michael came closer and spoke to me as if I were a small child. "Mom, does it really matter what the money was used for? At the end of the day, you helped your daughter-in-law feel better about herself. You should be proud. Proud. You lied to me. We did not lie to you. We simply did not give you all the details." He shrugged. "Besides, what were you going to do with those $6,000? Keep them until you die. At least now they serve for something useful." Jessica crossed her arms with a satisfied smile. If I were you, would not make such a scandal, mother-in-law. Unless you want us to leave. Because if we keep arguing like this, it is going to be impossible to live under the same roof." It was a threat, disguised as concern, but a threat nonetheless. And the worst thing is that it worked. Because the idea of being alone again, of returning to the silence of this empty house, terrified me more than losing money. "It is fine," I whispered. "Forget it. That is how I like it, Mom." Michael patted my shoulder. "Tomorrow everything will be better. You will see." That night I did not sleep. I stayed awake looking at the ceiling, feeling how every piece of me was crumbling. My china, my memories, my money, my dignity. What was left? And more importantly, how far was it going to go before disappearing completely? But what I did not know was that Jessica and Michael were not going to settle for $6,000, nor for my belongings, nor for my house renovated to their taste. No, they wanted everything, and I was about to discover exactly how far they were willing to go to get it. Because one night I went down for a glass of water and I heard a conversation that would change my life forever. It was February 22nd, 2:37 in the morning. I know because I looked at the clock before getting up. My throat was dry, that kind of dryness that wakes you up and does not let you go back to sleep until you drink water. I put on my robe and went down the stairs slowly. The wooden steps creak at night, and I did not want to wake anyone. The house was dark except for the moonlight coming through the hallway window. I was halfway to the kitchen when I heard voices. They came from the backyard. Whispering voices. Michael and Jessica. Something in my instinct told me not to turn on the light, not to make noise. I froze next to the kitchen door that leads to the patio, hidden by the shadows. And if it does not work, it was Michael's voice. It sounded nervous. What if she refuses? She is not going to refuse. Jessica's voice was cold, calculating nothing to do with the sweet tone she used with me. It is almost done, my love. We just need a few more months. A few more months of what? Of softening her up, of making her feel she needs us, that she is old, that she can no longer manage alone. I heard the sound of a cigarette lighting. Jessica smoked in secret. She thought I did not know. In about 3 months, max, she continued, we convince her to sign the house over to you. For her own safety, understand. We tell her that if something happens to her, if she falls, if she gets sick, it is going to be a tremendous legal problem. That it is better to have everything in order. My heart began to beat so fast, I feared they would hear it. And if she suspects, Michael asked. She is not going to suspect. She is alone. She only has us. And besides, Jessica let out a giggle. We have already shown her who is boss here. We threw away her things, changed her house, got money out of her, and she did nothing, absolutely nothing. She is weak. Michael and the weak always lose. I felt my legs trembling. I leaned against the wall so as not to fall. And then what? My son's voice sounded hesitant. After she signs, Jessica exhaled the smoke. Afterwards, we convince her that she would be better off in a residence, a nursing home. There are some cheap ones in the suburbs, like $200 a month. Nothing compared to what this property is worth. A nursing home. But Mom, your mom has already lived, Michael. She already had her time. She already had her happy marriage with your father. She already raised her son. And what about us? Are we going to live our whole lives squeezed in small apartments paying eternal rent while she lives alone in this huge house? But she is my mother, and for that very reason, we are not going to leave her on the street. We are going to pay for a nursing home. She will be well taken care of. She will have food, a roof, nurses. Her voice became harder. Michael, this house is worth at least $500,000. $500,000. Do you know what we can do with that money? There was silence, a long and heavy silence. We could buy the condo downtown that we saw, said Michael finally. His voice no longer sounded hesitant. It sounded excited. The 3-bedroom one with a view of the park. Exactly. And we still have enough left over to start a business or to invest or for whatever we want. Jessica threw the cigarette and crushed it with her foot. Your mom no longer needs this space. We do. We have children. We have a future. She only has a past. And if she says no, if she does not want to sign. Jessica laughed. A laugh that froze me to the bone. She is not going to say no, because by May she is going to be so worn out, so tired, so emotionally lonely that she is going to sign whatever just so we do not abandon her. Trust me, I know how these old women work. My grandmother was the same. You just need to break their spirit little by little, and when they no longer have the strength to fight, they are yours. You are right. Michael's voice now sounded convinced. My mom has already lived long enough. We deserve this house. Those words. My mom has already lived long enough. We deserve this house. Coming out of my son's mouth, my only son, the baby I carried for 9 months, the child I breastfed, the teenager I helped with homework until midnight, the young man I supported when no one else believed in him, my son, planning to steal everything from me and put me in a cheap nursing home. I felt something break inside my chest, but it was not my heart. It was something deeper. It was the last illusion that my family loved me. Let's go to sleep, said Jessica. Tomorrow I have to continue with the perfect daughter-in-law act. It is getting hard to pretend I like her. They both laughed. Together, accomplices. I heard their footsteps approaching the door. I moved fast, going up the stairs as silently as I could. I reached my room just as I heard them entering the house. I got into bed. I closed my eyes, but I did not sleep. I was not going to sleep peacefully again for a long time, because in that conversation, in those horrible minutes hiding in the darkness, the naive Evelyn died. And another one was born. An Evelyn who understood that a mother's love was not enough, that kindness could be a fatal weakness, that my own son was capable of betraying me in the worst possible way. I got out of bed and sat on the edge. My hands were trembling, but my mind was strangely clear. I looked at Robert's photograph on my nightstand, the only one I had left. "What do I do, love?" I whispered. "What would you do if you were here?" And then I remembered something Robert told me a week before he died. We were in the hospital. He already knew he was not going to make it out of there. "Evelyn, when I am gone, people will come who will want to take advantage of you, of your kindness, of your loneliness. And I need you to promise me something. Do not let them turn you into a victim. Fight. Even if it is your own blood attacking you, fight." At that moment, I did not understand why he told me that. I thought it was the morphine talking. But now I understood. Robert knew. He knew our son better than I wanted to admit. I got up and went to my closet. In the back behind the boxes where Jessica had stored my things was a small safe. I opened it with the combination only I knew. Inside were the house documents, the deed, the will papers, everything. And there was also a business card, Attorney Arthur Henderson, public notary, Robert's best friend, the lawyer who helped us with all our legal paperwork for 30 years. I grabbed the card and held it between my fingers. It was 3:15 in the morning, but it did not matter, because in that moment I made a decision. I was not going to be a victim. I was not going to end up in a cheap nursing home while my son and his wife enjoyed my house. I was not going to let them erase me. I was going to fight, but I was not going to fight screaming. I was not going to fight crying. I was not going to make dramatic scenes. I was going to fight in silence. I was going to plan. I was going to wait, and when the perfect moment arrived, I was going to slam the door in their faces, literally and figuratively. I lay down again, this time with a strange sense of calm, because for the first time in 3 months, I had control. They did not know it yet, but they were going to find out. Because while Jessica and Michael slept peacefully that night, sure of their perfect plan, I was awake in the dark, transforming myself. The weak woman they had known was dying. And in her place, someone new was born, someone who was going to show them that underestimating a 68-year-old woman was the worst mistake of their lives. The next morning, I went down to breakfast as always. I put on my floral robe. I made myself a coffee. I made some toast. Jessica came into the kitchen yawning in her designer pajamas she had bought with my money. "Good morning, mother-in-law. Did you sleep well?" I looked at her. I really looked at her, and for the first time I saw what she was, a predator, a woman who had studied every one of my moves, every one of my weaknesses, and had turned them into weapons. But she did not know that I could learn too. "Very well, daughter, and you like a rock." She poured herself coffee. "Listen, mother-in-law." I was thinking, what do you think if we start looking at options for retirement homes? Not to go now, of course, just to have options, in case you ever need them. There it was, starting to plant the seed. 2 days ago, I would have panicked. I would have asked why. I would have cried. But the Evelyn of yesterday died in the darkness at 2:37 a.m. You know what, Jessica, you are right. At my age, one never knows. It would be good to be prepared. Her face lit up with surprise and satisfaction. Really? How good that you take it with maturity. Mother-in-law, most people your age resist these topics. Well, I am not most people. I smiled, a small smile. One has to be practical. When Jessica went up to shower, I took out my cell phone and dialed the number on the card. Mr. Henderson's office. "Good morning. This is Evelyn Miller, widow of Cortez. I need to schedule an urgent appointment with the lawyer, but it has to be at his office, not at my house. And please let it be today, if possible. 1 moment, ma'am." Pause. "The lawyer can see you at 4 in the afternoon." "Perfect. I will be there." I hung up just as Michael walked into the kitchen. "Good morning, Mom. Who are you talking to with the doctor? They reminded me that I have an appointment for my routine exams. I lied, with such naturalness that I surprised myself. Oh, that is good. Do you want me to go with you? No, son. I know you have to work. I can go alone. At 3 in the afternoon, I left the house. I took an Uber to Mr. Henderson's office downtown. The secretary showed me in immediately. The lawyer stood up from his desk when he saw me. He was 70 years old, completely white hair, and those eyes that had seen it all. Mrs. Evelyn, he gave me a sincere hug. How long has it been Robert would be happy to know you finally reached out? Finally, he pointed to a chair and sat in front of me. Robert asked me to take care of you when he was no longer around. He made me promise that if you ever needed legal help, I would be there. 5 years have passed, and this is the first time you call me. He paused. So tell me what is happening, and I told him everything. Absolutely everything. The changes in the house, the sold china, the $6,000 for the fake surgery, and finally the conversation I heard in the backyard. The lawyer took notes. His face showed no surprise, only a professional sadness. Do you have proof of the conversation? No, I did not record it, but I know what I heard. I understand. He put down the pen. Mrs. Evelyn, what your son and daughter-in-law are planning has a name. Aggravated property fraud. It is a crime, but we need concrete evidence. How do I get that evidence? He leaned back in his chair. You need a recording, a conversation where their plan is clear, and you need to document everything. The objects they have sold without your permission, the money they have swindled from you, everything. I have bank receipts for the $6,000 and photos of the china before they sold it. Excellent. That is a start. Now about the house, he took out a folder and started explaining legal options, trusts, living wills, deeds with legal locks. What I recommend is creating an irrevocable trust. The house stays in your name under legal protection. You can live there as long as you want. And you can designate beneficiaries who only receive the property under specific conditions that you establish. Like what? Like the beneficiaries can only receive the house when they reach a certain age, or that they can never sell it, or that if you are committed to a nursing home without your consent, the trust is annulled and the house passes to someone else. A spark of hope lit up in my chest, and my son could not do anything, absolutely nothing. Once the trust is established, not even a judge can modify it without your explicit consent. How long does it take? If you authorize me, I can have the documents ready in a week, but I need you to bring me the original deeds. I have them at home in a safe. Perfect. And one more thing, Mrs. Evelyn. He leaned forward. I need you to act normal. Do not raise suspicions. Continue being the same Evelyn they know, because if they suspect you are planning something, they are going to accelerate their plan. And that complicates things for us. I nodded. Can I do it? I know you can. Robert always told me you were much stronger than you appeared. It is just that you never had to prove it. I left the office with a folder full of documents, and for the first time in months with something I had forgotten existed. Hope. But I also left with a mission. I needed that recording. That night while we had dinner, I acted perfectly normal. I smiled. I served the food. I asked about everyone's day. Jessica looked at me with approval. You look happy today, mother-in-law. Did something good happen? Just that the doctor said I am in very good health for my age. I have years ahead of me still. I saw how her smile froze for a fraction of a second. Years ahead was not in her plans. That is good, mother-in-law. That is good. The next day I went to visit Barbara, my neighbor. Barbara, I need your help, whatever it is. Evelyn, what do you need? I need to learn how to use a recorder. One of those small ones that can be hidden. Barbara asked no questions. She had known me for 30 years. She knew that if I asked for something like that, it was for a good reason. My grandson gave me one last year because I am afraid of forgetting things. I have never used it. It is yours. She taught me how to operate it. It was the size of a USB drive. It could be hidden anywhere, and it recorded with impressive clarity. Thank you, friend. Are you in trouble? I was in trouble. Now I am in solutions. During the next week, I went 3 more times to Mr. Henderson's office. I took the deeds. I signed documents. I established the trust. And every night I left the recorder on in different places of the house. In the living room, in the dining room, in the patio. I recorded conversations of Michael and Jessica talking about accelerating the process, about pressuring the old lady more, about how much longer they were going to tolerate living there. And finally, one night, I recorded pure gold. They were in their room. They thought I was already asleep. The recorder was hidden behind a plant pot in the hallway right outside their door. Jessica said with a clear and audible voice, "It is almost done, my love. In a few more months, we convince her to sign the house over to you. She is old alone, she needs us. Then we can put her in a cheap nursing home and sell this property. It is easily worth $500,000. It is enough for the condo downtown that we want." And Michael responded, "You are right. My mom has lived long enough. We deserve this house." It was almost identical to the conversation I had heard weeks ago, but now I had it recorded, with date, with time, with their unmistakable voices. The next day, I took the recording to Mr. Henderson. He listened to it completely, twice. Then he nodded. "This is enough, more than enough. What is next? Now we wait. Your trust is ready. The documents are registered. Legally, your house is protected. But I want us to have a moment of maximum impact, a moment where they show their true nature in front of witnesses, how provoke them, do something that forces them to show their true colors, and when they do, I will be there." I thought about it for 2 days. What could I do that would force them to show their plan? And then it occurred to me. On March 14th during dinner, I said casually, "Michael, Jessica, I have been thinking. You are right. At my age, maintaining this house is a lot of work. Maybe I should consider moving to a residence. And you guys could keep the property." Jessica's eyes lit up like Christmas trees. "Really, mother-in-law? Are you serious?" "Completely. In fact, I saw some very nice residences. There is one in Riverside that looks lovely." Michael took my hand. "Mom, it is a very mature decision on your part. I am proud of you. I just need you to help me with the papers. We have to transfer the house deed. Mr. Henderson can help us. Do you think we should call him?" "Yes." Jessica almost screamed with excitement. "Call him tomorrow. In fact, I already spoke with him. He can come Monday, March 15th at 10 in the morning. "Perfect," said Michael. "We will be here." That night, I heard their celebrations from my room. Champagne, laughter, plans, and me in my bed. I smiled in the dark, because they thought they had won. They did not know that the real game was just beginning. Monday, March 15th, dawned sunny. Jessica got up early. She dressed up as if she were going to a wedding. Michael put on a suit. The two were electric with excitement, but what they did not know was that I had changed the lock Sunday night, and that Mr. Henderson was not coming to transfer the house to them. He was coming to show them that they had played with the wrong person. Sunday, March 14th. At night, after everyone fell asleep, I did something I never thought I would do. I called an emergency locksmith. "Can you come now?" I asked in a low voice from my room. "Ma'am, it is 11 at night. I will pay you triple, but it has to be now, and it has to be silent." He arrived at 11:30, a man of about 40 with his toolbox. I explained the situation in whispers. "I need you to change all the locks in the house, the front door, the back door, the garage, all of them. Does your family not have keys? That is precisely why I am changing them." He looked at me with those eyes that had seen it all and nodded. "I understand, ma'am. It is not the first time they call me for something like this." He worked for 2 hours. The sound of his tools was minimal, but every noise put my heart in my throat. I feared Michael or Jessica would wake up, but they did not. At 1:30 in the morning, the locksmith finished. He handed me 4 sets of new keys. "Ready, ma'am. These are the only keys that exist. The previous ones no longer work. I paid him $250 in cash, money I had withdrawn from the bank during the week without anyone knowing." "Thank you. And please, if anyone asks you—" "I was not here," he winked. "Take care, ma'am. And whatever you are planning, I wish you luck." When he left, I sat in the dark living room. My house, with new locks that only I could open. It was a symbol, an act of resistance. I called Mr. Henderson. "It is done. Perfect. I will arrive tomorrow at 6:30 in the morning before they wake up. You open the back door for me as we agreed, and I stay inside until the indicated moment. And if this goes wrong, it is not going to go wrong, Mrs. Evelyn. Trust me, and trust yourself. Tomorrow, you reclaim your life. That night I slept 3 hours, but not from fear, from anticipation. Monday dawned. Michael and Jessica got up early, excited. Jessica put on a wine-colored dress, heels, perfect makeup. She looked as if she were going to sign $1 million contract, which in her mind, she was. Good morning, mother-in-law. I am so happy you are making this decision. It is best for everyone. Yes, daughter, best for everyone. Michael came down in his gray suit, the same one he used for weddings and important events. Mom, did you eat breakfast? Do you want me to make something special? No, son. I already ate something light. Nerves, you know. It is normal to be nervous, but you will see that everything is going to turn out fine. He took my hands. You are going to be in a nice place with people your age with medical care 24 hours a day, and we are going to visit you often. I promise. Lies. All lies, but now I could identify them as if they had a bright label on top. I know, my love. I trust you guys. At 9 in the morning, Jessica started getting anxious. What time did you say the lawyer was arriving at 10? Oh, still some time. She sat down. She got up, walked to the window, checked her cell phone. I am so nervous. Nervous about what I asked with perfect innocence. Well, about the whole process, it is an important step for you, mother-in-law. At 9:30, the doorbell rang. Jessica practically jumped off the sofa. He arrived early. Great, I will open it. But when she got to the door and turned the knob, it did not open. Mother-in-law, the door is locked. Oh yes, I put the lock on last night. I am coming. I approached slowly. I looked through the peephole. It was not Mr. Henderson. It was a neighbor selling cookies. It is not him. It is Mrs. Gable. Are you not going to open? No, I already have breakfast. Thank you. Jessica looked at me strangely, but said nothing. At 10 o'clock sharp, the doorbell rang again. This time it was the lawyer, but he came accompanied by a younger man with a briefcase. And Michael and Jessica also came from inside, practically running towards the door. Mother-in-law, open up. They are here. But I did not move. Mother-in-law, what are you doing? Open it. In a moment. In a moment. They are knocking on the door. Michael approached and tried to open. He turned the knob. Nothing. He tried with his key. It did not work. Mom, my key does not work. Oh, that is right. I forgot to tell you. I changed the locks last night. Absolute silence. What? Jessica looked at me with wide eyes. Why would you change the locks for security? At my age, one never knows. The doorbell kept ringing, now with insistence. Mother-in-law, open the damn door, Jessica screamed. Do not talk to me like that, Jessica. Open the door. Michael tried to calm down. Mom, please, the lawyer is outside. We are going to sign the papers. Remember? Yes, I remember perfectly. And then I did not open the door. I let them knock and knock and knock. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Jessica began to lose her composure. What is she doing? Did she go crazy? Michael dialed his cell phone, probably trying to call the lawyer to apologize. 15 minutes later, the ringing stopped. Jessica's face was red with fury. We lost the appointment. The lawyer left. Are you happy? Calm down, Jessica. Everything is under control. Under control? You ruined everything. I did not ruin anything. In fact, I looked at my watch. Everything is going according to plan. What plan? Michael looked at me confused. At that moment, I heard the back door open. The footsteps I knew, dress shoes on the kitchen tiles. Michael and Jessica turned around, and there was Mr. Henderson entering from the hallway in his impeccable suit and his leather briefcase. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Michael and Jessica's faces were a poem. Confusion, shock, incipient fear. How did you get in? Jessica stammered. Through the back door. Mrs. Evelyn gave me access a few minutes ago. Michael looked at me. Mom, what is happening? Sit down, I said with a calm I did not know I had. It is time we talked. Really, No lies, no lies, Jessica let out a nervous laugh. We have not lied to you, mother-in-law. Oh no, I took my small recorder out of my sweater pocket. Then explain this to me. I pressed play. Jessica's voice filled the living room. It is almost done, my love. In a few more months, we convince her to sign the house over to you. She is old, alone, she needs us. Then we can put her in a cheap nursing home and sell this property. It is easily worth $500,000. Jessica's face turned white as paper. And then Michael's voice. You are right. My mom has lived long enough. We deserve this house. Michael dropped onto the sofa. Literally! His hands were trembling. I was not trembling. Can you explain to me how I deserve to be in a cheap nursing home while you live in my house? Jessica recovered her composure with impressive speed. She was a survivor, a fighter, but this time she was fighting a lost battle. That recording is illegal. You cannot use it. Mr. Henderson intervened with a professional voice. In fact, ma'am, it is completely legal to record conversations on private property when the property owner considers there is intent of fraud or dispossession. And this recording is perfectly admissible in court. There is no fraud, said Jessica, raising her voice. We take care of her. We give her company. This house would be empty and sad without us. You take care of me. I laughed, a bitter laugh. Selling my china without permission is taking care of me. Throwing away my late husband's jazz records is taking care of me. Getting $6,000 out of me with a fake illness is taking care of me. Michael covered his face with his hands. Mom, please. Please, what, Michael? Please forget that my only son, the child I gave everything to, planned to throw me away like trash in a nursing home while keeping everything your father and I built. Tears began to roll down my cheeks. But they were not tears of weakness. They were tears of liberation. For 3 months you made me feel like I was crazy, like I was selfish, like I was a bitter old woman who could not let go of the past. You made me doubt myself to the point of believing you were right. Jessica tried to get closer. Mother-in-law, we can fix this. Do not touch me. I took a step back. Do not touch me again. Do not call me mother-in-law again as if we were family. Because family does not destroy. Family does not steal. Family does not plan to put their own blood in a cheap nursing home to keep their house. Mr. Henderson opened his briefcase. I think it is time to hand over the official documents. He took out a thick folder and handed it to Michael, who took it with trembling hands. What does this read? Take your time. Michael opened the folder. Jessica leaned in to read over his shoulder. And I saw the exact moment they understood, the moment their perfect plan crumbled. But what those papers contained was not just a legal blow. It was the end of a game they should never have started. And what I was about to tell them was going to change their lives forever. Michael read the first page, then the second. His eyes moved faster and faster with growing panic. Jessica snatched the papers from his hands. This cannot be. This cannot be real. It is completely real, said Mr. Henderson, with that professional calm he had perfected in 40 years of career. Certified by a public notary, registered in the Public Property Registry on March 10th of the current year. Completely legal and irrevocable. Irrevocable. Jessica looked up. What does irrevocable mean? It means it cannot be changed, I replied. It means that this house is no longer in my name freely. It is protected in a trust that I control, and you cannot touch it. Michael dropped the papers to the floor. His face had gone from white to green. Mom, what did you do? What I should have done from the beginning. Protect myself. From you. The lawyer continued with a firm voice. The property located at 328 Oak Street remains under irrevocable trust in the name of Mrs. Evelyn Miller, widow of Cortez. She maintains the life usufruct that is, she can live here until her passing. The beneficiaries of the trust are her grandchildren, Emily and Jacob, who will receive the property when they turn 25 with the express condition that they can never sell it. It must remain in the family. That is unfair, Jessica screamed. Michael is your son. He should inherit. Michael lost that right when he planned to rob me. We were not going to rob you. We were going to take care of you in a residence. I took another paper out of my pocket. I had printed it the night before. Are you referring to the St. Joseph Geriatric Residence in the East Side, the one that costs $200 a month and has one-star ratings on the internet, where complaints speak of rotten food mistreatment and medical negligence? Jessica opened her mouth. She closed it. She had no answer. I investigated, Jessica. I investigated everything. I know exactly what kind of place you plan to send me to while you live downtown or in the Heights. Michael finally found his voice. It sounded broken, desperate. Mom, please. We are family. We can fix this. I was just scared. About money. About the future. Jessica pressured me and I... Now you blame your wife, I interrupted him. Very brave of you, Michael. Very brave. Jessica exploded. This was his idea. He was the one who said we deserved the house. He was the one who investigated the cheap nursing homes. I only followed his plan. And there it was, the mutual betrayal, destroying each other right before my eyes. I do not care whose idea it was, I said with a coldness that surprised myself. You both planned it. You both lied to me. You both stole from me. You are both equally guilty. Mr. Henderson took out more documents. Now let's move on to the topic of financial restitution. Mrs. Jessica, you obtained $6,000 under deception, specifically lying about a serious illness. That constitutes fraud. Mrs. Evelyn has two options: proceed legally with a fraud lawsuit, or you return the full money within a period of 30 days. I do not have $6,000, Jessica squealed. I already spent it. Then we will have to proceed legally. Fraud can result in prison from 6 months to 5 years, according to the Penal Code. Jessica turned to Michael. Say something to her. Do something. She is your mother. But Michael was paralyzed, in complete shock. The lawyer continued relentlessly. In addition, there is the issue of the unauthorized sale of private property. The fine china had an estimated value of $2,000. It was sold without the owner's consent. That is aggravated theft. She told me I could sell it, lied Jessica desperately. I have witnesses who say otherwise, and I have photographs of the china with their original dates proving it was Mrs. Evelyn's property for 15 years. Jessica started pacing from one side to the other like a caged animal. This is a nightmare, a damn nightmare. No, I said with a firm voice. This is justice. The lawyer closed his briefcase with a definitive click, Mrs. Evelyn. Do you wish to proceed with the legal lawsuits, or do you prefer to give them the option of voluntary restitution? I looked at Michael, my son, my only son, the child I had carried in my arms, the teenager I had consoled when his first love left him, the man I had supported in every decision. And I saw what he really was: a coward, a manipulator, a thief. I want them to leave. Mom. Michael stood up. Please do not do this. You have 48 hours to leave this house. You can take your clothes, your electronic devices, your personal items, nothing else. Everything else stays here. And where are we going to live? Jessica asked with a hysterical voice. We have children. You should have thought about that before planning to destroy me. I felt tears accumulating, but I did not let them fall. You have family, friends, a car, jobs. You will find something just like you found a way to lie to me for 3 months. Mother-in-law, please do not call me that. You are no longer my daughter-in-law. And he, I pointed at Michael, he is no longer my son. Michael fell to his knees, literally. He knelt in front of me with his hands together. Mom, forgive me, please. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. I was desperate. Jessica pressured me, and I did not think. I did not see the consequences. But I love you. You are my mother. You always will be. If you loved me, Michael, you would not have planned to put me in a nursing home as if I were trash. If you loved me, you would have defended your father's memory instead of letting her throw away everything he and I built. I can change. We can change. Give me a chance. I gave you your chance. I gave you 3 months of chances. Every time you threw something of mine away, every time you lied, every time you made me feel guilty for existing. Those were chances, and you wasted them all. I turned to the lawyer. About the $6,000, I give them 30 days to return them. If not, I proceed legally. Jessica let out a scream of frustration and ran towards the stairs. Michael stayed kneeling, crying like a child. Mom, Please get up, Michael. You are no longer a child. You are a 43-year-old man. It is time you acted like one. He stood up slowly. His eyes were red-swollen. And the kids, Emily and Jacob. Am I never going to see them again? That question hurt me. It hurt deep. I love them, and that is why the house was left in trust for them. But I am not going to let you use them as emotional hostages. The lawyer touched my shoulder gently. Mrs. Evelyn, if you need a moment— No, I am fine. I took a deep breath. Michael, you have until Wednesday, March 17th at 6 in the evening to vacate. If you do not do so voluntarily, the lawyer will proceed with legal eviction. And believe me, you do not want us to get to that. Michael nodded weakly. He went up the stairs, dragging his feet. The lawyer and I stayed in the living room. The silence was dense, heavy. Are you sure about this, Mrs. Evelyn? Do you think Robert would be proud of me? The lawyer smiled with sadness. Robert would be more than proud. He told me once, if something happens to me, Evelyn is going to need time to find her strength, but when she finds it, she is going to be unstoppable. He was right. The tears finally fell. But they were not tears of weakness. They were tears of liberation. Thank you for helping me. It is an honor, Mrs. Evelyn. That night, lying in my bed, I heard the movement upstairs. Boxes, suitcases, crying arguments, and I felt something I had not felt in months. Peace. It was not a joyful peace. It was a painful, sad, bittersweet peace. But it was peace, because for the first time in 3 months I had taken control of my own life. I looked at Robert's photograph on my nightstand. I did it, love. I fought, like you asked me, and I swear that in that moment I felt his presence, like an invisible hug, like a whisper saying, I am proud of you, Evelyn. I always was. The next day, Barbara came to visit me. She brought me coffee and cinnamon rolls. How do you feel like I survived a war? You survived, friend, and you won. It does not feel like victory. It feels like loss, because you love your son, and that is never going to change. She took my hand. But sometimes loving means letting go. It means setting limits. It means saying I love you, but I am not going to allow you to destroy me. She was right. On Tuesday, Emily came down to the kitchen, alone. Her eyes were red from crying so much. Grandma, can I talk to you? Of course, my darling. Sit down. She sat down and for a long moment said nothing. She just looked at her hands. I knew, she whispered finally. What did you know, my love? I knew what my parents were planning. I heard conversations. I saw how they treated your things. And I said nothing. Tears started to fall. Forgive me, Grandma. I should have told you. I should have defended you, but I was afraid my parents would get mad at me. I hugged her tight. You are not to blame, Emily. You are a child. It is not your responsibility to fix adults' mistakes. But I feel so bad. I know. Me too. But I want you to know something. I held her face so she would look at me. This house is going to be yours and your brother's someday. And when that happens, I want you to remember, dignity is worth more than any property. Respect is worth more than any inheritance. And true love never destroys. Emily hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. I love you, Grandma, very much. And I love you, my darling, always. On Wednesday, March 17th at 5 in the afternoon, a moving truck parked in front of the house. Michael and Jessica loaded their things in silence. The kids were sad, confused. Jacob hugged me before getting in the car. Are we not going to see you anymore, Grandma? Of course you are going to see me. Whenever you want to visit me, you just have to call. This is your house as much as mine. At 10 to 6, Michael approached. He was holding an envelope in his hand. It is $1,500. It is all I could gather. The rest I will pay you little by little. I swear, Mom. I took the envelope. You have 30 days to complete the $6,000, not a day more. I know. He lowered his gaze. Mom, I know I do not deserve your forgiveness. I know what we did was unforgivable, but I want you to know that I am sorry. Truly. I know, Michael. But being sorry does not erase the damage. Being sorry does not return the memories you destroyed. Being sorry does not erase the words you said. I know. His voice broke. Will you ever be able to forgive me? I looked him in the eyes. My son, my traitor. I do not know. Maybe. With time. With lots of time. But for now, I need you to leave. I need to heal, and I cannot do it with you here. He nodded. A tear rolled down his cheek. Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Michael. He got in the car. Jessica did not even look at me. She took off with a screech of tires, and they left. I stood in the entrance of my house, watching the car disappear around the corner. Barbara appeared by my side. Are you okay? No, but I will be. That night I ate dinner alone in my dining room. But it was not a sad dinner. I made myself roast chicken just like my mother taught me. I put on music, Robert's jazz records, the ones I had downloaded on my cell phone because Jessica had thrown away the originals. And while I ate, I looked at my house. The walls were still gray, but I could paint them again. The curtains were still missing, but I could sew new ones. The memories had been destroyed, but I could create others, because that is what strong women do. We do not give up. We do not break. We rebuild ourselves. Epilogue. 3 months later. It was June. The lilacs on my street were in bloom, filling the air with that purple color that Robert loved so much. I had repainted the walls, peach again. I had sewn new curtains with embroidered flowers. I had put photographs of Robert all over the house. And something else. I had begun to survive. I took painting classes at the community center. I met other women my age, women with similar stories, women who had also survived family betrayals. We became friends. We supported each other. We reminded each other that we were more than mothers, more than wives, more than caregivers. We were ourselves. One June afternoon, my cell phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Grandma. It was Emily. My darling, how are you? Good. Well, not so good. Dad and Mom got divorced. My heart stopped. What Mom left? She said she did not want to be with Dad anymore, that he had betrayed her, that everything was his fault. She left with another man, one she met at the gym. Her voice broke. And we are living in a horrible apartment in the East End with Dad. It is tiny, dark, smells bad. Oh, my love, but I am not calling to ask you to take us in again. I know we cannot come back. I just wanted to hear your voice and tell you that you were right about everything. Emily. Mom never loved us right. She just wanted the money, the house, and Dad. Dad was very foolish, very weak. She cried. I miss you, Grandma, very much. I miss you too, my darling. Every day. Can I come visit you? Someday. You can come whenever you want. This was always your house. Thank you, Grandma. I love you. And I love you, my love. Always. I hung up and stared at the phone for a long time. Jessica was gone. Like snakes, she had found another victim, another plan, another opportunity, and Michael was paying the consequences of his decisions. I felt no joy, but I did not feel guilt either. I felt acceptance. Sometimes life teaches us the hard way, and sometimes people have to lose everything to understand the value of what they had. That night, sitting in my backyard under the stars, drinking chamomile tea, I reflected on everything that had happened. I had lost my son at least temporarily, but I had gained something more valuable, myself. Because I learned that love without respect is not love. It is slavery. I learned that true family does not destroy you. It builds you. I learned that at 68 you still have the right to defend your dignity. And I learned that it is never too late to say enough is enough, because true wealth is not in what you possess. It is in what you do not allow them to take from you. Your dignity, your peace, your right to live without fear in your own house. And that is priceless. And so ends my story. A story I never thought I would live. A story that broke my heart but also gave me strength I did not know I had. If this story touched your soul, If it made you reflect on your own limits, on your own family, on your own dignity, let me know in the comments. Tell me, where are you watching this story from? Which country or city are you joining me from? I would love to know that these words reached your heart no matter where you are, and if you know someone who is going through something similar, share this story. Because sometimes knowing we are not alone is what gives us the courage to fight. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories of life, of overcoming, of women who refuse to be victims. Because at the end of the day, we all deserve to live with dignity. We all deserve to be treated with respect. And we all deserve to close doors that hurt us, even if they are the doors of our own family. Thank you for joining me until the end. See you in the next story. With love, Evelyn.